Hello, students. So today we will practice giving suggestions and advice. We've already done this a little bit. Now we are going to practice reading about problems and then giving suggestions and advice. So let's get started. So first I want you to look at this picture and describe the picture. I want you to get used to trying to tell me as many details as you can. So first, talk about what you see in this picture. Okay, how many people do you see? There are 4 people, right? There are 3 women and 1 man. And what does it look like they are doing? They are in an office. It looks like they might be at work. They are working. I see 3 of the people are talking. And then what is the woman who is sitting doing? What is she doing? I see in her hand she has a paper. I think it might be a budget. That is hard to read, but I think it is a budget, and she is looking at the computer. And what is she looking at on the computer? You might have trouble seeing that too. She is looking at women's suits. She is looking at clothes on the computer. Does she look happy or does she look sad? She looks sad. She does not look very happy. Is there anything else that you find interesting in this picture? What else do you see? The office has a lot of windows, and there are many desks. And the women who are standing and the man who is standing, they all seem to be dressed in very nice suits. They are all wearing very nice suits. And the woman who is sitting, is she wearing a suit? Is she wearing a nice suit? No, she is wearing a plain top, a plain t-shirt and pants. So what do you think is the problem in this picture? What do you think is the problem? Well, we are going to read about it. I hope you made a guess. Did you guess? Did you use the clues to guess what the problem is? What is the problem? Let's find out in the next picture. So here is the problem. This is what we call an advice column in English. When you look in a newspaper or a magazine, sometimes people will write questions to the advice columnist in a newspaper or a magazine. They will write questions about a problem they are having. And the person who works at the newspaper or the magazine will give advice. They are usually people who are good at giving advice. So this person has written a question to the money man. Must be somebody who is good at giving advice about money. And in her question, she writes, "Dear Money Man, I recently got a new job in a downtown office. I need to look nice every day. I've never worked in an office before, and I don't have the right clothes. Most of the women wear suits to work. How can I get a new wardrobe without spending my entire salary? Can you give me advice? Not clothes crazy." So what is her problem? Right, she doesn't have the right clothes for her new job in a downtown office. She says most of the women wear suits to work. She wants to have nice clothes too, but she doesn't want to spend too much money. So she asked the money man for his advice. If you were the money man, what suggestions would you give not so clothes crazy, the woman who is having a hard time finding clothes to wear to work? What suggestions would you give on how to find nice clothes to wear to work without spending too much money? Think about it. What are some suggestions that you could give? Do you have some ideas? I will share some of my ideas with you. And if you have other suggestions, that is great. You can write them down in your notebook. That's excellent practice. So let's look at some suggestions. Well, you could say, why don't you buy used clothes at a thrift store? Why don't you buy used clothes at a thrift store? Shopping at a thrift store is a great way to find nice things that aren't too expensive. I love thrift stores. So she could shop at some place like Goodwill to find used clothes. She could also shop at stores like TJ Maxx, where you can find nice clothes at better prices. Here's another suggestion. How about looking for sales? You might find good deals online. We are very lucky that today we can look on our computers or on our phones and find the best deals. Maybe there's a store that is not even in your neighborhood, but you can ship it to your house. Amazon is so popular today because you can find many great deals. So maybe she can find a good deal online or find a sale at a local store. And the last suggestion, you could borrow clothes from a friend until you have enough money to buy your own clothes. There's a third suggestion. Maybe she has a friend who she can borrow clothes from. Maybe her friend is not working anymore. Or maybe her friend has a lot of clothes and does not mind sharing. These are just a few suggestions that I thought of. What suggestions do you have? And what suggestions does the money man have? Let's find out. So here is the advice column. This is what the money man tells the person who is looking to find the good deals on clothes. He says, "Dear not clothes crazy. It is important to look nice at your job, but you don't need to spend all your money on clothes. I have a few suggestions. First, why don't you buy a black suit with a skirt, jacket, and pants? Then wear a different blouse and jewelry every day for a different look. Second, you could shop at thrift stores. They often have excellent used clothes at very cheap prices. Third, how about talking to the other women in your office? They can tell you about good places to shop. Finally, you should make a monthly budget and follow it carefully. Following a budget is the best way to manage your money." Money man. So how many suggestions does the money man give in his advice? How many suggestions does he give in the article? In this advice column, he gives many suggestions. How many do you see? Well, let's look at them. He says, first, why don't you buy a black suit with a skirt, jacket, and pants? Then wear a different blouse and jewelry every day for a different look. So that is his first suggestion. That's a good one. Okay, then he says, second, so 2, you could shop at thrift stores. Another suggestion. He says, third, how about talking to other women in your office? They can tell you about good places to shop. So there's a third suggestion. And his fourth suggestion, finally, you should make a monthly budget and follow it carefully. So he gives 4 suggestions for managing money and finding clothes at discount prices. 4 suggestions on how to get started. So now we are going to look at another family who is having money problems. Let's read what the problem is. Dear Money Man, my wife and I have 3 young children. Me too. We both work full-time. When we come home from work, we are very tired and don't want to cook. We eat in fast food restaurants 3 or 4 times a week. It's very expensive. Last night, the bill was $44. How can we save money on dinner? Fast food dad. So, what's the problem here? What's the problem? They spend too much on eating out, but they are too tired to cook after work. So the problem is they spend too much on eating out. Why? Because they are so tired after work, they don't want to cook. So that is the problem. So what do you suggest? What are some things they can do so that they don't spend so much money on eating out? Do you have suggestions? What could they do? Think about it. Do you ever have this problem? What would you do if this was your problem? What are some ways that you could save money on food and eating out? Well, I will share a few of my suggestions with you. One, you could say, why don't you prepare meals on the weekend? You can put them in the freezer and eat them when you are ready. So, a great time-saving tip is if you make food on the weekend and freeze it, then during the week you can just take it out of the freezer and it's ready to go. My family eats a lot of soups and beans and things that are very easy to freeze because it makes it easy when we have very busy schedules or we are too tired to cook during the weekday. So that was my first suggestion. Do you ever freeze meals? Do you ever freeze meals and then cook them later? How about eating at places where kids eat free on weekdays? Now, some restaurants, not all restaurants, but some restaurants have good deals for kids. If you can find a restaurant where kids eat free on weekdays, then you could go to those restaurants instead of the fast food restaurants that you are going to, or the family in this story is going to. Not all restaurants have this deal, but there are many restaurants where kids eat free maybe on Tuesday, or kids eat free on Wednesdays, because they want more people to come in on slow nights, which are usually weeknights. So some restaurants have good deals on weekdays, and this family could try to eat at those restaurants. You could make easy meals like sandwiches or pasta on days that you are really tired. So sometimes it is okay to eat something simple for dinner. If you are really busy and you don't have a lot of time to cook, or you are really tired from working all day, maybe that day you just make a sandwich, and that is dinner. That is one suggestion you could give this busy family. And a final suggestion, you could wash and chop your vegetables on the weekend. This way, you will save time on weekdays. So many times on the weekend, I will cut my vegetables, okay? I will wash my vegetables. So when I am ready to cook on a weekday, I just have to throw everything in the pot or the pan that I am cooking, and I don't have to spend the time it takes to chop my vegetables. So that is another way to save time on a day that you might be too tired to cook or too busy to cook. Did you have some of those same suggestions? What are your suggestions? So now let's write some of those suggestions in a paragraph. This is how I would respond. That means this is how I would answer. This is what I would say to fast food dad. Dear fast food dad, I understand it can be hard to make dinner after work when you and your wife are both tired. But you don't need to spend a lot of money on eating out. First, why don't you prepare meals on the weekend? You can put them in the freezer and eat them when you are ready. Second, you could wash and chop your vegetables on the weekend. This way, you will save time on weekdays. Third, you could make easy meals like sandwiches or pasta on days that you are really tired. Finally, if you are really tired, how about eating at places where kids eat free on weekdays? That way, you don't have to cook, but you will save money. And I signed it the Money Woman, because I'm a woman. Okay, so the Money Woman. What I want to point out to you about this letter is that I use these transitional words. Do you remember we talked about that? It is easier to follow somebody's writing when they use transitional words like first, second, third, or finally. These words help me better understand the different ideas you are telling me. So in this paragraph, I wrote first, second, third, and finally, so you could understand all the different ideas, the suggestions I was listing. So now it is your turn to practice giving some advice. I want you to get out your workbooks, and we are going to do homework pages 86 and 87, okay? Pages 86 and 87 in the workbook. And we will check the homework on the next video, okay? For now, pages 86 and 87. We are almost finished with this unit. So good luck with the homework, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.